Hi! Hello, and welcome to the Daily Almanac for April 20th. So, let's get started. This day in history! On this day in history, April 20th, 1832, what is now Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas was established as a reservation by an act of Congress. It included 36 hot springs. American Indian tribes had used the thermal springs for centuries before the territory was settled by whites. Also, on this day in 1850, sculptor Daniel Chester French was born in Exeter, New Hampshire. He created the statue called Minuteman that stands in Concord, Massachusetts to commemorate one of the opening battles of the American Revolution. He also sculpted the huge seated figure of Abraham Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. And on this day in 1972, the manned lunar module from Apollo 16 landed on the moon. 3 moonwalks were completed during the mission. Over 200 pounds, 90 kilograms of lunar rock and soil samples were collected and returned to Earth. Word Power! Today on Word Power, we're going to talk about the word pupil. A pupil is another word for a student. You might say there are 14 pupils in the class. Pupil is also the name of a part of the eye. The word pupil comes from the Latin word pupa, which means little girl doll. The Romans called it this because when they looked into someone else's eyes, they saw a miniature doll-like reflection of themselves. Have you ever seen your reflection in someone else's eyes? It does kind of look like a miniature version of you, doesn't it?
Ooh, extremes.
Today on Extremes, we ask, what are the highest kinds of clouds that form in the sky? The answer is cirrus clouds. These wispy clouds form at around 25,000 feet up, which is 9,000 meters. The word cirrus comes from the Latin word for curl of hair. Cirrus clouds are also known as mare's tails because they look like a horse's tail. They generally mean that the weather is sunny and fair.
Health tips.
If you need to escape from a fire in a building, remember that smoke rises to the ceiling. If you're in a room with smoke, you need to get on the floor where the air is clearer and crawl to safety. Try to keep a damp cloth over your nose and mouth. Do you ever have leftover food when you go out to eat? Lots of restaurants put leftover food in styrofoam containers. Styrofoam can't be recycled and it never breaks down into dirt. Now, before you ask to have your food wrapped up, ask the waitress what she will be wrapping it in. Explain that you'd rather not use styrofoam. If the restaurant doesn't have wax paper or another earth-friendly wrapper, use your paper napkin. You can also bring a plastic container from home and put your leftovers in that. You know, sometimes being an Earth Alert hero takes planning, but we all want to take care of our planet for generations to come, right? Well, that's all the time we have left today for Daily Almanac. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Pupa.